Wow, aren't we lucky to have heard that original recording from 1561 of a young man closing his curtains at midnight. Simply stunning. Hello and welcome back to the final couplet with me, Theo Cowan. My voice is a little bit hoarse today on account of going bowling last night and I might have got a strike, and yes, I shouted a bit too much about it. But all of my other bowls were so bad that it was warranted, I think. So apologies for my hoarseness. It was great having James on last week, wasn't it? He was fantastic. And Sonnet 121, where the hell have you been hiding? I mean, that was a stream of anger and frustration, and I loved it. So thanks to James for joining me on that one and showing me why he loved it so much. Now, quickly, any Shakespeare news? I've just had a little look, and this is quite a good little pun in the Irish Times. Rough justice, R-U-F-F, that's pretty good, isn't it? Is Shakespeare being cancelled? What? You can't cancel Shakespeare. He's long dead. Well, I guess you can cancel someone after they've died. It's happened before. It says not exactly, so already they've been misleading with that title. Although not everyone believes his work should retain compulsory status in higher level English for the Leaving Cert. Now listen, I don't actually know what the Leaving Cert is, but I imagine it's some sort of exam or something in Ireland maybe. And they're saying, hey, you know what? Don't need him anymore. We don't need to look at Shakespeare anymore. And you know what? They've got an argument. They have got an argument, because I do think the way it's taught in schools, no disrespect to teachers, they're just trying to get on with their bloody jobs, but I don't think it's taught in the best way. I think a lot of it has to be performed, and you also don't have to be so, oh, Shakespeare, I love Shakespeare so much, you know? Let's really dissect it like we do on this podcast. We're not afraid to say that Shakespeare could have done better. You know, and that's a good lesson for a kid to learn, I think. Look, Shakespeare, this sonnet, not his best. And that's okay. We've got to be teaching kids this. We can't just go, oh, Shakespeare is so amazing, you'll never be like him. Go, yeah, he was just like one of us. Look at this last sonnet. He was angry, he was fuming, and a lot of that sonnet didn't make any bloody sense. So let's chat about that. Let's chat about him putting his emotions on the page and how kids can go and do that too. Anyway, that's my speech. So if you're a school in Ireland, get me in. I charge, I don't know, chat to me. Give me an email. Right, enough waffle. Let us look at Sonnet 122. Thy gift, thy tables are within my brain full charactered with lasting memory, which shall above that idle rank remain beyond all date, even to eternity, or at the least so long as brain and heart have faculty by nature to subsist, till each to razed oblivion yield his part of thee, thy record never can be missed. That poor retention could not so much hold, nor need I tallies thy dear love to score. Therefore, to give them from me was I bold, to trust those tables that receive thee more. To keep an adjunct to remember thee were to import forgetfulness in me. This is a fascinating sonnet. What a weird little sonnet. If I'm not mistaken, and you know what, I had to look over this a few times because I couldn't believe what I was reading. Has Shakespeare written a sonnet all about receiving a notebook that he then regifted. And he's saying, that's fine. That's fine to regift. I don't need this crappy old notebook. I don't want it because I have got all of my thoughts and feelings in my head. So don't need a notebook. Thanks, but no thanks. So in my head, I mean, his lover's gone, hey, what are you doing giving a notebook away? What's going on here? And Shakespeare has then written this sonnet to explain to his lover why he's giving it away. It's such a bizarre one. You think about Shakespeare, the love sonnets, you think about the seasons, you think about his longing, his lust. You don't think about him giving away a notebook and explaining that his brain can hold all of his memories. That's not talked about much. 122, a bit of a lost sonnet, dare I say. Well, I think we better dive into it line by line and work out what the hell Shakespeare was talking about in this one. So we start with, thy gift, thy tables are within my brain full charactered with lasting memory. So here he's saying, you know that notebook you gave me? Well, in my head, I've actually already filled that notebook with memories and whatnot, which shall, above that idle rank, remain beyond all date, even to eternity. So those memories will remain longer than that idle rank. I mean, that is mean, isn't it? That's a gift you've received there, Shakespeare. Be grateful. That crappy old book, this rubbish little book, my memories will remain way longer than that book, is what he's saying there. Even to eternity. So that's a long time, isn't it? Eternity. Can't get much longer than that. And I think here, I mean, we've got to assume he's not just talking about his memories. You know, he's not just thinking about, oh, remember that time back when I was 5 and I was riding my bike. I think he's talking about his memories of his love for the young man that he's talking to. And their memories, you know, like when they went for dinner last Sunday, or probably further back than that. That's very recent memory. But, you know, when they first started dating, he gave him a rose and he remembers that. And he doesn't need to write it down. Doesn't need to write it down because he's got his brain, is what he's saying here. Or at least, so long as brain and heart have faculty by nature to subsist. I like this. I mean, I don't know when in a poem you have to go, or at least, you know, he's qualifying, isn't he? After he's made his statement, so he's saying even to eternity, or you know, I might have gone a bit far with eternity, might have gone a little bit too far. So he's saying, or at least this record of you won't be lost as long as my brain and heart survive. So it's not quite eternity, is it? Because you're going to die, probably, he imagines. Although maybe, you know, Shakespeare thinks that you'll live forever. So, as long as his brain and heart are still knocking about, the memories will live on. He's contradicting himself a little bit here because, dare I say, that a notebook will last longer than Shakespeare. Someone's got to say that. I mean, look how long his plays have lasted. If his plays were just in his head, then they'd die with him. And we wouldn't have got to see or read those plays. So, actually, a notebook, very useful. And is a good way to put down your memories, so that then we can read them. And in a way, having written this sonnet on paper, he's doing so. So, you're contradicting yourself, Shakespeare. But we'll continue. Till each to razed oblivion yield his part of thee, thy record never can be missed. So this is a continuation of the same thought, and he's saying, you know, until both of them, head and heart, brain and heart, give way into oblivion, my memory of you will never be lost. That poor retention could not so much hold, nor need I tallies thy dear love to score. So again, he's having a go at the notebook. He's saying that crappy old book couldn't hold as much as my brain. So there. Nor do I need to keep notes to record my love for you. Don't need to do it, alright? It's all up in the old noggin. Therefore, to give them from me was I bold, to trust those tables that receive thee more. And here he's giving himself a pat on the back, really, and he's saying, that's why I was bold enough to give away your notebook, because I trust my own memory to keep a better and clearer record of you. So yeah, gave it away. Who cares? I gave it away to someone who doesn't have as good a memory as me. And now we're on to the final couplet. To keep an adjunct to remember thee were to import forgetfulness in me. So yeah, he's really just summing up the sonnet there, as he likes to do in his final couplet. But he's saying, for me to use this notebook to remember you would actually sort of imply that I'm forgetful, which he seems to be very offended by. He doesn't want to be called forgetful. And his poor lover, his poor lover's gone out to the shop, made him this lovely notebook. I imagine it's bound in leather and it's got lots of beautiful handmade paper pages. And he's given it to Shakespeare in a little box. And Shakespeare's opened it and gone, oh God, what's this? What's this crappy old notebook? No, not for me. I have got a great memory. Never test my memory. Shakespeare's poor lover. Long-suffering lover. You've got to nip it in the bud. I mean, how the hell is he still with Shakespeare at this point? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Right. I think it's about time we put this to our story. And if you remember, I'm sure you do, a couple of weeks ago, Shakespeare was rappelling down a church writing Sonnet 120. And he was writing it all about the Earl of Southampton, his lover, having an affair long ago. And he was saying, look, we've both had affairs here, mate, let's just call the whole thing off. And he's met the Earl of Southampton at the bottom of the church after he's written that sonnet, and he reads it to him. So let's see how Sonnet 120 is received, and how Sonnet 122 fits into all this. Don't worry about where 121 went. Shakespeare finishes reading Sonnet 120 to the Earl of Southampton. The Earl says, you've got a point there. You have got a point. I did do some cheating. You did some cheating. We both done cheating. Maybe we should just start afresh. Pretend that nothing happened and get on with our relationship. And Shakespeare says, yes, thank you. That's what I've been trying to say over the last 5 or 6 sonnets, but you haven't listened to me. And the Earl of Southampton says, yeah, I was just so annoyed about you cheating. But then I remembered, I had cheated as well. So yeah, it does make sense now. I was bad as well. We were both bad. We're both bad men. But we could be good together. And Shakespeare says, yes, thank you. All right, let's go home. And so with that, they walk home arm in arm. A couple of months go by and the two men are as in love with each other as they were when they first met. They've gone on lovely picnics, they've gone out for dinner together, they've given each other lovely gifts, and now they're off to the pub on a Saturday night for a lovely pint of ale. They walk down the cobbled streets together, hand in hand, snuggling up to each other. They don't mind public displays of affection, these two. In fact, they're quite into it. Eventually, they arrive at the Nag's Head, their favourite pub. And they walk on in, Shakespeare opening the door for the Earl of Southampton. They go up to the bar and order 2 pints of ale from Maggie, the lovely barmaid. Here you are, fellas, 2 lovely pints of foaming ale. They thank Maggie as she sets them down. And they stay in the pub for a good hour, 2 hours, drinking pints, reminiscing. The Earl of Southampton says, Shakespeare, I'm just going to pop to the toilet. I'll see you in a second. He gets up and he walks towards the toilet and he sees a man a few tables away, scrawling some stuff in a notebook of his. He doesn't think too much of it, goes to the toilet, comes back. He looks again at the man and his notebook, and he sees that the notebook has a lovely green leather cover. He gave Shakespeare a notebook with a lovely green leather cover. Surely it must be a different notebook. There's no way Shakespeare would give that notebook away. It was a lovely gift, and it cost him a lot of money. He walks over to the man and says, Excuse me, I'm sorry to disturb your writing, but can I just take a look at that notebook of yours? And the man says, yeah, sure. And he shows it to him. And sure enough, it's the notebook he gave to Shakespeare. He knows because there is a golden W.S. for William Shakespeare, of course, engraved on the back of it. He can't believe what he's seeing. He says, Where did you get this bloody notebook from? You stole it. And the man said, I didn't steal it. I got given it. And he says, Well, who would have given you that? That was a gift that I gave to... And then both of them in unison say, William Shakespeare. The Earl of Southampton is shaking his head. He's fuming at this point. And the man says, Sorry, mate. I mean, he just gave it to me when we were in the pub last. He said, Here, have that. I don't need it. I've got a brain or something like that. The Earl of Southampton says, No, it's not your fault. I have a good night. And he angrily walks back to Shakespeare, who's in the middle of having a lovely chat with old Maggie at the bar. Shakespeare, what have you done? And Shakespeare says, Oh God, what have I done? Oh no, what have I done? The Earl of Southampton says, You've given away the notebook that I gave you, that beautiful notebook, that gorgeous gift that I gave you. And Shakespeare says, Oh yeah, I did, yeah. And the Earl of Southampton said, Why did you do it? That's so rude. I spent a lot of money on that notebook. And Shakespeare says, I know you did, and I really appreciate that, but what I realised is I've actually got this great brain and I've got a lovely memory, and I actually want to remember all of our beautiful relationship rather than writing it down. And the Earl of Southampton says, You have lost your bloody mind. And Shakespeare said, hold on. Look, I knew that this might come up at some point, that you might see that I didn't have the notebook, so I took the liberty of writing a sonnet about it. The Earl of Southampton goes, Oh, here we go. And Maggie says, Oh, not another bloody sonnet. And Shakespeare says, Can you back off, you two? Yes, I've written another sonnet, but it's important, this one, and I knew you'd want to hear it. So with that, he takes out Sonnet 122 from his back pocket. It was there, prepped and ready. And he reads, Sonnet 122. You know that notebook you gave me? I've already filled it up in my mind with memories which will outlast that shitty old book, beyond all time and for eternity. Or at the very least, as long as my brain and heart can survive. Until both of them give way into oblivion, my memory of you will never be lost. That crap old book couldn't hold as much as my brain, nor do I need to keep notes to record my love for you. That's why I gave your gift away, because I trust my memory more. keeping a written record of you would be admitting that I'm forgetful. So there we have it, Sonnet 122 and the story to go with it. Join me next week to find out what happens next as we look at Sonnet 123. Until then, bye!